Welcome to National Park Wild. I'm Eric, continuing 2020 Park Recap, where I go over the 23 national parks I visited this summer. The fifth one I went to on an RV trip in June was Petrified Forest National Park in Arizona. After a surprisingly great visit to Saguaro, we came here. We started at the Crystal Forest. This area is very fun. There's tons of petrified wood all around, and you are allowed to touch it. That is a really cool detail. There's a lot of Badlands-like formations made out of clay that have a very interesting natural history, and they're really beautiful to look at. There's tons of scenery all around. The colors in the petrified wood is really cool. I really did enjoy this hike. Crystal Forest is a cool place. I should note, the whole thing was tempered by the fact that we had to be out of the park by 5, and we arrived at 4 o'clock that day, so we had very little time. This is because of a weird closing time that goes on at Petrified Forest that I'll get into a little bit more later. The teepees are a stop we saw along the road. They're very beautiful, colorful, Badland-type formations. And the next hike was Blue Mesa. Blue Mesa was the highlight of the park for me. Absolutely stunning scenery. The blues and purples that are sort of almost painted into the rock, it looks like. They really are beautiful, and I really did enjoy this hike. It's not too difficult. You go down and back up. It's nice. I definitely recommend if you come here, this being the number one thing you do. The Blue Mesa, there's not a whole lot else to talk about, so I'm going to use this time to talk a little about the closing time. Before COVID, it was always closed at sunset. Sunrise to sunset hours, which is not good. I think it might be because it's along an interstate, but I'm not sure. And I feel like having a sort of time limit in a park can really tamper an experience. So I did not like that. However, for COVID, it was moved to 5 p.m., so we were supposed to only have an hour in the park. We ended up leaving at 6. The rangers do enforce the rule decently well, but we were on the way out and kind of stopped. And that's how we were able to get away with a little more time. It is still a very nice park. The southern area with the Blue Mesa and Crystal Forest and a few other things is really, really cool. And then there's the Painted Desert in the far north part. In between, it's really just grass, though. There's not a whole lot. Really no wildlife. All we saw were ravens. But we saw the Puerco Pueblo for a minute or two. Cool little ancient site. There's this one car that is a landmark of Route 66, and that's a pretty nice thing, too. But other than that, it's really just grass. The wildlife is not that great, but what is the scenery. The Painted Desert was our final stop, and unfortunately a fire did obscure some views for a little bit, but it was really beautiful to see the many oranges and reds at Petrified Forest. There's so much beauty in this park. It's a shame that things like wildlife and closing time kind of tamper it. Arizona's a really beautiful state, and Petrified Forest is no exception to that. However, it simply does have the issue with the closing time. I know that seems like a pretty superficial thing to get mad about in a national park, but that sort of thing can make you feel rushed and ultimately take away from the experience, as it really did for us, because we only had 2 hours in the park. The wildlife isn't great, but I mean, you can't really do anything about that. Overall, I recommend a visit, but definitely go in the morning so you have more time. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for next time when I will talk about the Grand Canyon. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content. Like the video if you enjoyed it. See you next time.